the last class that we filmed, it was, I did a riff off of the 7 habits of highly successful people.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the...
Is it highly effective?
Yes. I went 7 habits of highly healthy people.
Oh.
And I was like, let me just like really try to pare everything down.
Were they Fs?
Into 7 habits. No, they weren't.
Oh.
No, they weren't.
Because I did the 7 Fs.
First habit was understand and stay aligned to your true north. Right? So that's more around like purpose. What is your purpose in this world? Mm-hmm. So that's habit number 1. So identify that and stay in line with that across the board in everything that you do. That's almost like baseline on these habits. Habit number 2 is build and maintain effective relationships. Build and maintain effective relationships. No numbers attached to that. If it's 3 unbelievable relationships that you have or 16 unbelievable relationships that you have, you need to actually put effort into building and maintaining those relationships. And those relationships need to go from like here out, right? So here is me, and then here is the people that are closest to me, and I hug every day, and then I go out from there. So that's 1 and 2. Number 3, easy one, move your body every single day. And there's a lot of stuff inside of that, that a lot of it I got from you, quite frankly. And then number 4 was nourish your body effectively. So there's ideas around food quantity, food quality, and hydration. So that's just like nourishment.
Awesome.
Number 5 is sleep.
Yeah.
Right, sleep. So hours behind that, dig into hours, all that. I won't bore you with that. And then we have
6.
Number 6 would be honor your circadian or your daily rhythm, which kind of like encapsulates 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah. So it's almost like talking about how do we create rhythm off of those habits. And then number 7 was be unbelievably self-aware, right? So be really self-aware on, and this is like when we start getting to like using your term brass tacks, this is like actively being self-aware, actively doing daily self-assessments, weekly self-assessments, annual self-assessments to look at, am I actually staying in line with my true north? Yeah. Am I actually moving where I want to go on habits 2 through 6? So I thought long and hard on like, what are because I had to go 7, right? Yeah. So that's why I nourish, it was hydration and food. But going through that thought process again, right? Like, and just like really challenging what you thought to be important before. I actually cut out a few where I'm like, these are cool, but I don't think that they're that impactful. Like, I think if we were to establish those 7 and live according to those 7 on a daily basis, and there's a lot inside of each one of those, but if we were to live in accordance to those 7, I think we'd end up in a much, much better place. But I think a lot of people don't have number 1 taken care of. I think that a lot of people think that relationships are found like here and on their phone, so they don't really have that one taken care of. And I think a lot of issues are coming downstream from that. And then the move every single day, I think you and I have a little bit of a disagreement on this, but I think the move every single day, I think that there's a lot of habits that come downstream of just moving and challenging your body. There's a lot of things that you'll notice and like, maybe I'm not eating properly, maybe I'm not honoring rhythm, maybe I'm not sleeping enough. So I think movement from like a tactical habit standpoint is actually the most important. And then I think a lot of things come downstream from that. So thoughts?
Gosh, so many. First and foremost, you really are moving out of the craftsman stage as a person. And I'm just saying this based upon it coming out of your mouth. It's time for you to take on the mastery role and start stepwising towards that. Because when you create mastery things, when you create mastery things like that, it'll be a good next step for you, because you can, like, people will remember listening in. The technician is the coach that just running wild for many years and trying to figure out what to do. And the craftsman starts really developing their own thing, and they start looking at concrete and abstract stuff within fitness. And then they're like, no, this needs to be done this way. And I feel it needs to be done in this order. And that's what I just heard. But the reason why I say it's time to take on the responsibility of stepping into the mastery role is that there's more in it there. You know, there's more in it than people know. I have also done what you just did there. We all, you know, live our own lives in that experiences, right? And I've broken those things down, you know, in big levels when I started, and then, you know, the BLGs, energy, rhythm, purpose, you know, and I love numbers and systems and like, so I love that aspect of it. And I broke those things down a little further over time, which that's the second point, that I broke it into move every day, eat real food, and learn and adapt, right? And my third point on it is, philosophically, I love where my brain goes on the challenges that come from your idea there, as to, and you mentioned this, so it didn't come from me, is to what would be, I keep thinking about what would be the thing, right? AKA silver bullet. That would be the thing that would hypothetically topple all the others. And I've spent lots of time thinking about what would be that, just to say like, well, geez, you know, I don't know if we got, because this is what goes on in my head. I don't know if we have the time. I don't know if we can scale this. I don't know if we, and that's why I appreciate like going over the vision of what America in 20 years is like. But I don't know if we'll have success unless we think a lot harder about what would be more simple than the 7, as an example.
Yeah.
In our own minds, not just Carl's proposal, but in our own minds, that would topple a lot of things, right? And I put my money on physical challenges daily. And then I could follow up with that as to, like, you know, why I think that would be the answer to the toppling.
Yeah.
But you mentioned a little bit of it, is that it creates all of these things that come afterwards, that you start recognizing your reliance on being able to do that every day, right? At the same time, you become extremely aware of yourself. Because there's so many truths in physical challenges. And then when you, like you and I have, we bought that thing and like fell in love with it. Well, I'll speak personally, too deep sometimes, right? So deep.
Janice and I went on a walk, I think it was a few weeks ago, and she just like, she let me know that I fell in love with it too deeply. She's like, I'll have you know, this was a while ago, so I feel like I can tell you this now. But it was probably like 6 or 7 years ago. She's like, no, it was longer than that. It was about a decade ago. She's like, you were just too much. So I never told you this, but it was coming out of you. She's like, you were too much. And I just had to like take it. But so yes, that's both of us. Continue.
Well, you know, just inside of that healing for both you and I there, but we couldn't eloquently then speak of what too much is in order to define what is ideal, right? So, hey, we sacrificed a bunch of ourselves and our brain cells and our physicality.
I always had excuses though, right? Like my excuses were, I'm a tinkerer. I'm experimenting. I want to see what this does. I want to see what that does.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying that was like the right answer, but that was always my excuse in my head. And I don't want to use the term excuse. That was the reason. Right?
Yeah,
that's
great.
The reason. We started going down the rabbit hole of what's going to have the most amount of impact.
Oh yeah. The physical stuff. It basically makes you extremely self-aware. You start recognizing work-rest scenarios, circadian rhythm, right? You start realizing things like, wow, I didn't do anything today and I don't feel too tired tonight. Like, these are such simple, basic things, right? And then you start realizing, oh, geez, you know, that Mexican food from that joint last night, I can't do the physical things. It all, there's all connectors, right? Or I wanna do some physical challenges because I know it's right today.
Yep.
But man, it's not clear-minded.
Yeah.
Why am I not clear-minded? Do you see, like it all, you know, are you doing too much of this? Are you thinking all those things, right? Stories you're telling yourself, and democracy is going to end, and nihilism is on the. Is this always on your mind, right?
Yeah.
And I keep saying, well, what would be the thing that could stop? And that's why, again, I just keep reducing it back and back and back to, like, if these kids, young people, were taught self-sufficiency and fell in love with physical sustainability, that would be the one arrow, I think, that would topple it all.
Yeah, gosh, so many attributes, right? You mentioned a lot of them. One that I'll add is humility as well, right? Like, it teaches you to be humble, right? Like, you can very, very easily be humbled with an extra 25 pounds, with an extra or a faster per 500 clip that you're asked to do, or whatever the case is. There's like humility there where it's like, no, I know my guardrails, I know my limits, I know I'm not good enough to do that, right? I'm not strong enough to do that. So,
but it's the antidote to the current crop of kids that are being told that equity is the answer, right? And I'm not using equity in the performative political term today, right? But whether parents who are non-woke or woke out there, your kids are being taught this. So the physical thing also offers that, a true hierarchy.
Yeah, it's like
true hierarchy.
Here are the tools, do with them what
but I don't
you
want
may.
my kid realizing that they're not that good. Are you? I don't even know where to start there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So humility comes from that kid, you know, being in. See, this is what we can't think. We can't think kids will take that step to do that. And I put lots of blame on parents and society for that kid thinking this, right? They look at that kid, run faster, do more, etc., and be a humble, good kid, right? And they look at them in a different light, right? So my point is, how did we get to that stage? It's to your point you're adding that physicality can bring, is it makes humble people, right? Someone who, quote unquote, does something physically phenomenal, right? Every day, all year at school, right? And then lends a helping hand to another kid. That's what it's all about.
Love it.